Good morning.
Good day to you.
I'm not
That
gonna
was not
lie.
meant
I
to trigger
actually
a
have
reaction.
to
It
grab
was
my clock
really,
and say, nope,
yeah.
nope.
That was not meant to trigger a reaction. It really wasn't.
I know, but it did. And that's okay. And that's okay. Good day. Happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God. TGIF.
TGIF, I literally posted that on my stories this morning. So every morning I like to post like a little morning inspiration or morning funny video or whatever on my stories. This morning, I don't even remember what I posted, but I said good morning. And then at the bottom, I said TGIF, literally, because good Lord, what a week. Welcome to This Is
Touche.
I am Tiffanie Lanelle.
And I'm Alex Haynes.
What a week it's been for our new show. Hopefully, y'all have enjoyed it. We missed one day because we were in mourning and we had to spend some time in mourning. We
I
have,
mean, to say the least, we're also in previews, so
well,
it is what it is.
yes, and what will be, will be. We lost the legendary, iconic queen of rock and roll this week, Anna Mae Bullock, also known as Tina Turner, from Nutbush, Tennessee. She died.
Sounds good. And the thing about it is, when you say anime, well, sometimes people feel like that was a stage name also. Like, no, Tina Turner was the stage name. Anna Mae Bullock was her legit government, as we say.
What was provided to her. She died peacefully in her home in Switzerland, which we could go down a whole rabbit hole of um, great Black people who decided to get off of this stolen land, but that's another show. But she will be missed. She is survived by her husband and is it Irwin or Irvin? I feel like it's Irvin. Bach is his name. Um,
See, I'll say you would probably know better than I.
I think it's pronounced Irvin. Um, but anywho, she will be greatly missed. I know you and I tried to talk about what our favorite Tina Turner songs were. We cannot just pick one. I
Can't
love
do it.
it's just not possible because the catalog, which she sold to BMG a few years prior to her death for what's estimated to be $50 million. It's said to be the largest artist acquisition that they have in their company's history. I think that says a lot about them that she was willing to trust them with not just her catalog, but she sold them her catalog, her name, her likeness, all of the rights. So
And
proud
part of me
parent.
wonders if she did that because she knew her time was up. You
She
know,
she said
because
that.
for me, it's like I love the perspective of that because the time will be up.
Right.
So I find it interesting that sometimes we hold on to things that we've made them or we've kind of conjured up some sort of sentimental value, wanting it to matter when there will be few things that really matter.
Right.
When it's said and done. So
Yeah. She said that in an interview. She said, she had suffered a stroke, kidney disease. She knew she was sick. She knew that, like all of us, our time was limited. All of our time is limited, unfortunately. Well,
fortunately, Lord, I'm not saying I'm trying to hurry up, but
that's why I took my statement back because I thought about it like, I don't know, all the stuff that people go through in one lifetime. At
could
one
you
point, you're
imagine
just
doing
like,
this forever? I couldn't. No, no, nope,
don't cryo freeze me. Let me
nope,
go to glory.
nope.
No, thank you. Anywho, the point is, she will be missed. Um, she will be missed, but her music will continue to live on. I will probably continue to play River Deep, Mountain High, at least once or twice a week. I really love that song. And I just be in my house just really belting it out. Doing all the dance moves to Proud Mary as we all do.
Listen, I literally plan to ensure that Proud Mary keeps on burning this weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Burn, Mary. Burn on.
Absolutely. So may she rest in paradise and rest in power. This week also was the 3-year anniversary of the murder, because we're going to call it what it was, of George Floyd. And still not enough change. Again, that's another show. We can't even get into that right now. But prayers to his family and prayers to the family of all of those who have been lost in such horrific ways. Um, okay, we have a lot to talk about today. So let's just go ahead and get into it.
Bam. How can I start here? LOL smiley face. And I jumped all around.
That's all.
DeAndre Way, aka Soulja Boy. I like government names, because it helps me with a frame of mind. Mostly it helps me, like, it gives me a lens into how and who your parents were. Like, if your name is DeAndre Way, your last name was Way, both of them knew that was the name. So when they chose DeAndre, what were they thinking? And I think I do this with anybody. Like, but specifically with our community, it's always indicative to me of, maybe the mindset of the parents at the time, or a look into the era, that they come from.
Yes.
Anyway, he is claiming that he made up to $100,000 a month
A lot
by
of cabbage.
by having the telephone number in LOL smiley face, the song. It costs a lot of money for us to play that for you. So
Is it
open
LOL
your
smiley face? Not a lot of money for us to play this.
open up your preferred streaming service, and if you need a refresher on what Trey Songz yodeling and Soulja Boy expressing, in the early days of Twitter. Let's think about more so the context of what this song, why it was made, this phenomenon of social networking. It wasn't called social media at the moment.
Oh my gosh, it wasn't. Was it LOL
Nevertheless,
smiley face? I thought it was Kiss Me Through the Phone that he made all that money on.
maybe it was that one.
I
He
think
had
it was.
numbers in all them phones, I guess, songs. I guess they were both doing it. 804, that's what I was saying in the meeting before. 804 is
Got
Virginia.
it.
So it seems weird that he would have made money off of that.
It was Kiss Me Through the Phone. He made $100,000 a month off Kiss Me Through the Phone.
He had a thing for phones.
But that's like a thing in music. I mean, what was the number in Mike Jones' song?
281-330-8004.
8004. Why do we remember that? Because it was in a song. And for our seasoned listeners, think the time 773. What was it? 777-9311. That was the name of their song. So like this is a thing.
But you know what, Soulja? And as I'm thinking about the way the numbers have been in songs, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
You're fine.
I think about how stupid I probably sounded saying 678-888-9 or 8212, not thinking that I never thought that was a number. I've never until right now. I don't know what the hell I was saying with the lyrics. Most of them must have been robotic, but I've never in my life dialed 678-999-8212.
Me either. And like even in singing the songs, nothing in me ever said to call
Dial
one
this number.
hotline bling or to call whatever the number is and kiss me through the phone because I don't remember it. The 8212. Nothing in me ever told me to call the 281-330-8004. I was just singing it because it's catchy. Just like INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means?
But was
Like,
there a number to that?
no, but my point is it's catchy, whether it's a phone number or spelling something. There's one song, now here's where my auntie comes out. There is one song where she literally spells like every other lyric that she is singing. I don't remember her name. I don't even remember what the song is, but I'll figure it out in a second. But she literally, this is why you need writers, because I need a writer in my ear saying that's so and so, and the song is so and so. But we support the writer strike. Um, she literally, I heard it the other day when I was trying to pick some kind of music out for something. And I literally sat there listening to it and I was like, I can't even keep up with what you're spelling. And I'm pretty smart. Spell one word. He spelled independent, and we were all in the club back then. INDEPE. Same with Kiss Me Through the Phone.
Touche.
It's just catchy. You spell more than 3 words, I'm tapping out. But $100,000 a month on one song. And now, if you're like us, you wanted to know how this. So we.
Let's see.
This call may be monitored and recorded.
Oh, I don't think that was Soulja Boy.
He lost the phone number, is what I was about to say.
Okay. Well, we
He said
see.
he lost the number. It was a subscription service. And so when folks would call, it like became a fan line and you had to pay to get through and you could really talk to them apparently. But because they were paying to get through the phone number and it was like a subscription service, he was making $100,000 a month off of this phone number, which sounds crazy. He said he had it for like 2 or 3 years and then the subscription service closed and he lost the number and somebody else got it. So now he's saying he wants the number back.
I would have fought for that number, but no one's calling it these days, bro. Everyone will want to text it.
That's not true. People still play Kiss Me Through the Phone a lot.
But I'm saying people don't. There's a generation that doesn't even know how to talk on the phone, let alone like no one's calling Soulja Boy. If you could find a way to make that money via a text subscription service, which you can, then maybe remake the song and say, "Text me through the phone," and maybe that'll work. I don't know. Maybe I don't know, but I don't think that you should bet your money on making $100,000 again off of 40-year-old millennials calling your phone. You can't.
Because we're not doing that.
These people have children.
And you couldn't, for context, people weren't really saying text me through the phone back then because text messages used to cost money. Don't text me. I am out of text.
And you weren't necessarily sure what a text would do.
You weren't. Wow.
It
I would
may
like to
arrive
get
as
off
an
of this
email.
conversation now because this has gone down a very much auntie uncle rabbit hole.
Just the truth about where we were and where we've come from.
And where we've come from. Speaking of where we come from, I know you're going to give the government name. I think it's Willie something, but
Willie Maxwell Jr.
that's it. He is headed to prison, to the jail,
I'm
to
still
the big
recovering from
house.
COVID. Otherwise, I would have tried to, yeah, babe, but and closed my eye to salute. But my voice can't do that at this moment. So, but Willie Maxwell Jr. he will be going to prison for 6 years.
Did you say and close my eye and salute? Why would you say that? Alex, please. You know what? He's going to jail for the big fraud for 6 years. But he was down here speed racing not too long ago. Wasn't that during the
He
pandemic?
was, and he was also renting Airbnbs for like $100,000 and not paying these people. And like, he said it was his team trashing them, but bro, like under your name.
And that's your team. Now, I will say, you people that be on the Lord's social media internet are going to hell. Because I read one post and one of the comments under it said, "Y'all guess what his cell number is?" And a few people commented 1738. I said, "Wow,
I
wow."
mean, he did coin that phrase, those numbers as a phrase at the beginning of, it was his moniker. So
I mean, it was. But now he is going to 6 years in a federal prison for his role in a New York-based drug trafficking scheme. He pleaded guilty last year to conspiracy drug charges, which carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years. Now, be
and
clear, that happened here in Georgia.
I,
So
I
watch
want you
the
to keep
state where you
going though. I
commit
want to
crimes,
point out
okay?
two things about this. Two things I want to point out about this story and the next, but keep going.
No, go ahead and point them out. That was my one. Watch what state you, first of all, don't commit crimes. But if you're going to, watch what state you commit them in, because New York has lighter sentencing than somewhere like a Georgia. Georgia, had he gotten,
For some things. For
huh?
some things. I said for some
For
things.
some things. Drug trafficking is one of those things. So, like, our mandatory minimum down here is not the same as a mandatory minimum in New York. Definitely not in drug trafficking.
Right. But if you get caught with a gun here, that is a minimum 20 years. So that's the
Here, they
difference
may
between
give
here
you
and
a
Georgia.
cookie
Yeah, that's the difference. That's
if you're
a
not black.
big difference.
If you're
It
not
doesn't
black,
matter.
they'll give you a
It doesn't matter if you are Granny Smith with your apples. If you have a gun and it's unauthorized, you are getting locked up, wig and all.
What were your two things? Oh, you want to go over the next story? Let's go over the next story.
Well,
And then
I wanted to get to him specifically because his lawyers had hoped that the minimum 5 year prison term would be afforded to him, mostly because of what I'm about to say. His defense attorney, Elizabeth Macedonio, said this is a sad day, a kid from Paterson, New Jersey, who made it out, but he accepts responsibility for his conduct. His thinking was, knowing that he did it and they had the proof. Most of the time, you find in whether you're watching trials that you know about, that you've been connected to, you're watching it back on some type of drama. People plead not guilty and always want their case pleaded, whether they did it or not. His desire and intent to plead guilty is because it's just too much. And I also, by the time the federal government comes after you, they have a case.
yes, yes,
That's just the way that it is.
absolutely.
They're not really going after cases that they can't approve without a shadow of a doubt.
Because it costs too much.
So then when you lie, they're just like, we'll throw a book at you and you'll be going for 30 years.
True.
So the desire to plead here guilty, he knew he was making a mistake. And it's to me, it's like there's a certain trajectory that you can find yourself on, and that if you can't get the right people around you, there's like a self-destruction that comes that you can't avoid, right? You can't
Ooh,
avoid. I'm gonna use names and examples because we are who we are and we do what we do. I'm gonna
right.
start with Columbus Short because we were watching his career ascend, 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 ascend. And when there were signs, there are signs, and again, people, even the people that say that, oh well, I would really listen if people told me the truth. You wouldn't, because most people are optimally offended when someone says something that's not in praise or affirmation to them. So if it's like a side check, it's not a real comfortable thing. Nevertheless, we
Right.
have Columbus Short. You know what? You watch that happen, and you again, what?
In real time.
Where's the last time you've seen him in something?
I actually just had to Google him because I have no idea what he's doing. No shade, but Scandal was his last
A-list affiliation.
That's a good way to say it. It looks like he is. He's got a couple of things. Oh,
He's
he played
definitely done some
MLK
things.
and
I've
Remember Me,
seen
the
him.
Mahalia Jackson story, the one with Lettucey.
He's been in a few things that I've seen. Didn't really want to mention them because it feels like an insult. Like, you know, from him coming from Scandal,
Scandal.
Stomp the Yard, like his ascension, not just in the community, but in our community, it was epic.
Yeah.
Raz B is on Zeus. That's the end of my sentence. If you don't know who Raz B is, or you don't know who Zeus is, you can't correlate why I said that way.
Then
No
that
need for me
actually
to
also
explain. Yeah, there's no need for me to explain that.
Yeah.
Ja Morant and what keeps happening right now. Where is the circle?
Yeah.
Where is the circle? Meagan Good is the circle for Jonathan Majors. I see that as a beeline intervention. I think, you know, we thought PR was over, but Meagan Good comes from an old time. You can bet your bottom she still has good PR.
Oh, absolutely. Because she divorced that man, and now her ascension is also just.
And she's also dating Jonathan Majors. So that makes
Can we move on? Because I have a lot of things.
Welcome to Hollywood. But I say that to say the next instance of this is Basketball Wives' British Williams pleads guilty to 15 felonies, including bank fraud.
That's a lot of felonies.
Our former president pleaded not guilty to 34 felonies that he also did commit. And this is why I'm using this example in correlation. Donald Trump committed those 34 felonies.
He absolutely did.
And assumes he's going to get no sentence at all. You see that arrogance and confidence right there? I'm not going to call it supremacy because...
I will. It is supremacy. It is the myth of American exceptionalism. It is the myth of white superiority. It is the myth of narcissism.
It is the problem.
It is a problem.
And it is a cancer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's still planning to be our next president.
It seems to be dying, but I feel like people are trying to find vaccines for this cancer.
Whew.
And some of our enablers look like Tim Scott and Larry Elder. How did I get here? Because this was not where this show was going at all. British Williams, cast member of Basketball Wives, has admitted fraud amounts to $446,000 in stolen money. That is $500,000. Williams, 33, pleaded guilty to 5 counts of misuse of a social security number, 4 counts of bank fraud, 3 counts of making false statements to the IRS, and 3 counts of wire fraud. I'm going to say here, I'm going to put it on record, the type of thing, and I've been saying this for so many years and to so many people.
Wait, did you say insurance?
I didn't say that yet.
Oh.
But I said, yeah, 3 counts of making false statements to the IRS, and then 3 counts of wire fraud. So bank fraud, with 4 counts of bank fraud and then wire fraud. Like, so bank fraud is you lying to the bank.
They're coming after you.
Wire fraud is you using the bank with your lie. Like, this is how the United States gets you, right? And this is, like, I think it's important for us to know because, like, while the local scams go, and I was talking to my friend HB yesterday about this, we know the scams going on in our communities, whether you're participating in them, pyramids, they'll be here forever. The government is really not checking for you like that until you start messing with them. And Uncle Sam is slow, but who is not slow is insurance companies.
Oh,
British
yes.
Williams also submitted $139,000 in fake medical bills to an insurance company. Let me tell you something about corporate America, Fortune 100, 500, up the ladder. Insurance companies are all about their money. They still employ people to follow you if you file a false workers' comp claim and you're outside running and playing basketball when you're supposed to be in a wheelchair. They're going to take you to court because they want their money. When you hit somebody in your car and your little putt and you smash right into something that you can't afford, they're going to take your insurance rates up. You know why? Because they want their money. When they find out that you burnt down your house for that money, they're going to ensure you are prosecuted by your local, state, and federal prosecution.
To the
And
fullest
they're going to
extent.
blame everything. They're going to say arson, you took advantage of the power company and the power grid. They're going to trump it up. So British, going through this and the types of fraud that can be committed, like she, in this case, also pleaded guilty because she did this shit. This to me, Tiffany, it was on this is some wild shit, okay? Because I know that, and especially if you're doing this to fit in, like to remain relevant on your show or whatever. HB said, why don't you just get fake bags and leases on your cars like every other celebrity?
But did you say $139,000
in fake medical bills? So I want to know, is that ass? Is that $139,000 of ass and titties?
Alex.
The U.S. Attorney's Office said she used other people's social security numbers to open accounts with credit card companies and banks. She also used those numbers to deposit checks totaling more than $23,000 from other people's accounts and withdrew the money. Bank fraud. 3 pandemic frauds and insurance fraud are included in Williams' guilty plea. She submitted 9 applications for disaster loans aimed at helping businesses during the pandemic, 4 applications for the Paycheck PPP loan program, and 1 application for a rent relief program in California while she was residing in Missouri. The police said she used $144,000 in government loans for her personal lifestyle. Again, when you could have went to Canal Street, flew your ass up here, went to Canal Street, and went home and been good with $500. Whichever brand you want, since it's that important. Williams got $2,800 in rent relief after falsely claiming she was a California resident with a total household income of less than $50,000 and had reduced work hours. Her work hours were not reduced because of the pandemic, the police says. Also, her rent was reimbursed by the network that produces Basketball Wives. So not only was her rent reimbursed, she did live in California. She claimed that she did. She got money from California to pay her rent because her salary had been reduced when it hadn't been reduced because she was in Missouri working on a new morning show with Andrew Caldwell at a network that was paying her $90,000 a year, which she claimed exempt on that, so paid no taxes on that at all. So now, ma'am, British, I know that you're American, but here you are with the IRS, an insurance company, likely many hospitals,
banks,
federal
government, because now you have crossed states.
And so it's not that you were just committing fraud. You were committing, as they call it in the South, fraud. It's a fraud that you were committing. It kind of boggles my mind. She'll be sentenced on August 23rd and faces up to 30 years in prison for the bank fraud, 20 years for the wire fraud, and up to 5 years for each of the 5 charges of misusing the Social Security number. She also faces $3.25 million in fines. She is going to jail, okay? Prison. Now that's 5 years times 5 charges is 25 years plus 20 plus 30. She's 33 years old. I know that we don't have a calculator to bring up on the screen. Actually, we sure do. We sure do. And I because I think it's important that we calculate this together, we'll start with Miss Williams and the age of 33. Now, if we add 20 years for that first count, that's 53 years old. We're at 30 years for the next count. That is 83 years old. Then 5 years for 5 misuses of a social security number.
That's 25.
Well, I messed that up because I needed to do 83 plus 5 plus another 5.
You could have just said plus 25.
Plus another 5. Oh, I know.
But you wanted to do this way specifically.
Ain't no way.
108. Well, maybe they'll have cryo freezing by the
Heaven only knows.
Maybe they'll have cryo freezing by the time she gets to the end of her 20-year or 30-year season, and then she'll only be 53 or 83.
And she has a famous quote, HB also told me. She's never had any losses, just lessons.
Oh, well, this is a big ass lesson.
But what was the reason?
To flaunt. Now, you know, I'm not one of those reality TV show people. I can't do the Real Wives, the Fake Wives, the Housewives, the Potomac, LA, Atlanta, the basketball, the baseball, the Vini Vidi Vici, the pickleball. I can't do all of that. But British, ma'am, which, speaking of...
I just started watching Young, African, and Rich.
Now, I do watch that.
I don't like it.
Oh. And Married to Medicine. That's about as far as you're going to get me. But Miss British, which I'm very confused why that's her name. Did they want to live in Britain or something? Like, speaking of the parents' context and thinking of the time, I'm confused by that. But I
can tell you that I'm not really sure why this happened or what the goal was, right? Like, I don't know what her actual goal was, because I wonder if it was like, if she obtained it.
I really think, you know, a lot of times in our community, it is, and in our upbringing, not for everyone, but for many of us, it's very much, we have to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. We have to, you know, show it, you know, or fake it till you make it, or, you know, whatever. And so at what cost? At what cost do we do these things? Do we then end up having to plead guilty to a conspiracy of drug trafficking charge? Do we end up having to plead guilty to bank fraud and wire fraud and insurance fraud? Do we pretend at the cost of ourselves, of our bodies, of our finances, all because we want to look good? For who? For who?
Well,
because
you know,
nobody is coming to that jail
the other side of this,
but you.
You're right, because the other side of this, and I had to say I'm dramatic, right? So we have to tell the story of the story. It is true that we don't have the upper hand in this community.
Right.
So I can't say, like, my memory is short on certain things like that because I have had a hustler's mentality my whole life.
Right.
From what I recall, I've been legit and legal in my dealings intentionally, even with the lower hand, right? With one of the worst hands you could arguably say. If I can find the analogy, even though rest in peace, I didn't really care for his theology. Fred Price had a great analogy about America and the black person using a Monopoly game, and the analogy that he gave was really, really good to help us understand, unfortunately, the hand that we've been dealt.
Yes.
In these situations, I also feel like they can get out of control quickly.
Yes.
Right? This started from what it looks like in 2017. Did it start then?
Probably not.
Or is that, what we can conclude from what they were able to gather?
That part.
I think when it's somebody else's social security number and name, like the intent behind that can't be anything positive. Even if you would, and I get being 18 and having a terrible credit rating because somebody opened up a power account and some cable in your name when you were an infant.
And I chuckle, but that's really not funny. And that happens a lot. Stop doing that, y'all. Because that is when they're talking about fraud, using someone else's social, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about you folks out there, parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, whomever, non-blood related, whatever the case may be. If you go and get your power bill, cable bill, phone bill, house bill, light bill, rent due, grocery bill, credit card, car loan, whatever, in your nieces, your nephews, your baby's name and social, that is fraud. Okay.
And I thank you for clarifying that, because so many, like, you hear fraud, you hear I don't know what you think. You think of, your skin mint uncle, or maybe you think of Bernie Madoff. I don't know what you think. I do know that situationally, hey, British. Situationally, I think of, like, it's best for us to be honest about things that happen, right? I get, like I said, I wasn't dealt the worst hand, but I was in a situation where I really had to take control of my own finances when I was in college, like the second half of my freshman year. It just was what it was. That was the agreement. That's how things settled.
Yeah.
Post college, I wasn't thinking about paying Uncle Sam a damn thing. And I will recall one Friday, I do believe it could be Memorial Day weekend. It was a holiday weekend. So it was either Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend. I knew I was getting paid this Friday. And there was no payment. There was nothing there. When I logged into my account, it said, please call the federal government with this number. Literally. This is a true story, and I'm telling it because, like, you don't really know what to do in these situations. I'm like, well, not only did I not get paid, my account has been seized. I think I was like 22 or 23.
Oh my God.
Turns out it's because the student loan people have been trying to get in touch with me, and I had not responded at all. I had not acknowledged them. I had not, like, anything. I had not called
you had
back.
federal loans.
Get nothing at all. All they wanted was a call. When I did call, thank you for calling. So much for calling. We can release it now that you called, but it won't be released until next Wednesday. And follow me. So this is a holiday weekend. And so then we will unlock your bank account, basically, unfreeze it, and your direct deposits will be there, basically. And thank you for setting up an arrangement of $25 a month.
What?
That's all they wanted.
Alex.
That's all they wanted. But it took all that time, right? So issue after issue, whatever, you're trying to figure it out, and you don't seek advice. You don't get the right counsel. Sometimes you just are arrogant and you think you can do it yourself. I remember, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I don't know what happened. We didn't grow up in an era where I could write bad checks. But I remember trying to get another bank account somewhere, and they told me no. And I felt disappointed, like a child getting that first C. Like, well, I guess first F.
Because I was about to say, in some households, a C is acceptable. It wasn't
because it was a no, and I couldn't figure out why. So right. I say that to say I ended up applying for my for that same bank the next week. I said, I'll get these hoes, and I applied with my passport as my driver's license number. I thought that the FBI was going to come after me for committing fraud. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I'm saying it because I know in those crunch situations when you have to do whatever, people make decisions that they don't realize are long lasting. Go
Yes.
finding a social security number on Craigslist is not a good idea.
No.
It's
No.
just not it's not a good idea.
Neither is ducking and dodging and ignoring phone calls. Like you said, just talk to them. And even if that's just talking to them saying, I don't have it. So now what? They would much rather you do that than hanging up on them when they say who they're calling from.
Did you know most times if you call a credit card company and say, why was I denied? You get the generic letter and then you call them, they'll tell you what you could do.
They sure will. And then you can do it. I've been denied for one bank account. I think I also was in my late teens, maybe my early 20s. And I was just really hurt. And it wasn't my fault. Like something had happened, some kind of fraud had happened on my social or something like that. And I went to the bank to, similar to you, I was like, I need a backup. And they denied me. And I just remember sitting there saying, number one, I didn't know you could get denied for a bank account. What do you mean? No.
Did not know. Did
I
not know.
did not know that. It's never happened since, but it's never happened since because I had that conversation.
Do you understand the fear that was in my heart for reapplying with this social security number? I mean, with my passport.
I do, unfortunately. I really do. But
I still have the account.
I don't. I think I have gone through multiple banks since then, and not for anything of my doing, but more so because of theirs. Because I can't. I don't
I
do.
think that's understandable as well. I do.
Yeah, I don't deal with bad customer service or terrible business and unethical practices. That will get me to move every time.
You mean you don't bank at Wells Fargo?
Hell no, I do not bank at the former Wachovia because Wachovia used to watch over me. Wells Fargo
Actually,
won me over with their horse and carriage logo if they could, because I'm. So no, thank you. It's Friday. It's a holiday weekend. Do you have any big plans this weekend?
I do. I am going to the nation's capital this weekend.
Okay.
And I will be there through the weekend.
Well, amen. I will be.
I love to see fellow African Black brother and sisters. DC is another place that we congregate, similar to Atlanta without the Southern accents, basically. It's what it is.
It is. And if I could come with you, I would. But I can't. And I am going to rest this weekend. It has been a long, long, long time since I've had a pretty free weekend. And so I
understand that.
I will be resting, cleaning my house because I'm me. So I'm going to get some deep cleaning done and rest. Now I'll probably have a hot dog or a Polish sausage or something. Cause why not? But
do you have your American flag outside your front door yet?
My what?
The flag.
That's going to do it for us today. This has been lovely. Thank you for joining us for our first preview week. We hope that you learned something.
We really do.
We really, really do. Like really. Catch us next week. I think we'll be back Monday. We'll see. Okay. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Be blessed. Be safe. Let God be God in whatever way that looks like in your life. I'm Tiffanie Lanelle. You can get in touch with me at Tiff Lanelle on Instagram or the Musky Bird app for as long as I'll be on there, which may not be too much longer. Alex, I know you always say they can't or should not get in touch with you. So I'll let you do
this weekend. Download Yapper, yapper.social. Go to Yapper. You can't download it yet, but you can find me there. I'm back. I'm active. That's where I'll be. I gotta get the hell off of Elon's, and I'm trying to figure that out. I'm plotting my exit. For now, if you happen to find something there, be like, Alex, take your ass back over to Yapper. You push me back over there. Get me back over there.
Yes. I too am on Yapper and am slowly transitioning over there. So make sure, as Alex said, that you go to yapper.social, sign up, and we'll catch you there. Y'all have a good week. Be safe, be blessed. We'll catch you next week. Adios.
Nice. Namaste.
So, as we were alluding to when we got here, the post was like, how could you go down there and support and enable this? Oh, I want to go to Miami. I want to go to the beach. There are beaches everywhere. Literally everywhere. There are fake asses everywhere. Literally everywhere.